My name is Joshua Lewa. I'm Assistant Director for Admissions and Recruitment here at the Brown School. Today's topic that we're going to cover is faculty mentorships, and so we're really excited to have a few members from our community. We have some faculty and some students. Credit for your great experience at the Brown School. These are the people that are going to have a real big influence on your experience. So I'd love to turn it over to some of our partners here to do a brief introduction. Would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm Molly Metzger. I'm an assistant professor here at the Brown School. I'm also chair of the domestic social and economic development concentration.
Thank you.
My name is Alana Flowers. I'm a second year graduate student. I am studying domestic social and economic development as well.
I appreciate it. So the plan for this afternoon is we're going to go through a series of questions. We'll bring another student in to share their experiences, and then we'll definitely field questions from you all who are watching with us live today via the internet. So the first round of questions will go to you, Alana. So the first question I have for you is, how did you get involved in research, and how did you start working with Molly in this?
Well, I'll answer the second question first.
Sure.
So I came into the program Children, Youth, and Families concentration, and I knew I wanted to shift to something more macro. And Molly was the department chair for social and economic development. So I made an appointment with her to kind of gauge the program and see where I fit. And we just kind of hit it off from there as far as peer professor and student mentorship. And then I slowly but surely migrated into the research component. I was extremely intimidated by research. It's slightly still there, just a little bit. But she is researching a topic that is very near and dear to me. So we're studying housing disparities within St. Louis, specifically the Housing Choice Voucher Program. And because it's something that is very interesting to me, it doesn't feel as daunting. Researching data doesn't feel daunting. So she brought me on as her research assistant over the summer, and I've been doing it ever since.
Great, thank you. So we do have another question for you here. How has being involved with this research with Molly impacted your work at the Brown School and potentially your career that you're pursuing after school?
So the research and data skills that I've gained so far has been very transferable. So alongside doing research in the Housing Choice Voucher Program, I'm also doing a survey on student parents with children on the campus. I'm also a parent as well as a student, and I wanted to gauge how many more of me are on this campus, and she is helping me with that as well. So it's expanded greatly. So the skills are definitely transferable. That's right.
Yeah, well, I mean, are you thinking that some of this will continue on with you after your work in the professional world?
Definitely. So as far as student parent advocacy work, I've been doing that since undergrad, and I just carried it over to here. And so even when I graduate, I still want to serve in an advocacy role further along in my future.
That's great. So it's our understanding that both of you went to the Society of Social Work and Research Conference, and you had a chance to present there. And so if you all can talk to us a little bit about that process and how that all came to be.
Sure. So this was the first time for me attending that conference. My background is actually in social policy, and one of the reasons I love being at the Brown School is because it's, we're interdisciplinary, so social work and public health and social policy, and we also have, faculty from economics or sociology, and so there's really this a very dynamic interchange across disciplines. And so for me, this was actually my first time attending a social work conference, and it was very exciting to see how much interest there was in social policy issues. That basically in social work, we need to be sort of like on the ground helping people on a day-to-day basis navigate the systems that we have in place to help people. In this case, Alana and I are working on the issue of affordable housing, but at the same time, we need to be working on advocacy and sort of policy research to improve those systems. So it's not enough just to help people navigate what currently exists. We need to do work on the more macro side, on the policy side. And so it was just exciting to see how many people turned out for that. That this is seen as legitimate and it's a fit within social work. So to see people, I'm all for working on all fronts, so we do need people doing children, youth, and families and gerontology. And I think all of these are really symbiotic. But to see, students realizing the interconnectedness of these fields, it's just really exciting. So, and it was Alana's first research presentation, and she killed it, and the turnout was good. So it was a good fit for us.
What was that like being your first presentation?
That was my very first time attending an academic conference as well as presenting at an academic conference. So as her research assistant, I kind of tagged along to the latter end of the project that has already been worked on. And so she asked that I want to. I thought I was only going to go. And she flipped it on me and said, I have one better for you. How about you present? I'm like, okay. So very nerve-wracking all the way down there. It's like, I know the material. It's just standing up in front of people and articulating it in a way that very short and concise and hits the point. I was the only master's candidate to present at the conference. Everybody else were PhD candidates. I didn't know that.
Probably good.
So it made, it boosted my ego a little bit, a lot. And so it was a great network experience with other PhD candidates because I'm now starting to consider getting a PhD where I thought I was just done with school. I thought I was done with school come May, but that experience let me know that this is something that I can actually do and it's not hard. I'm not.
Well, it is hard.
It is hard. It's not as hard as I anticipated.
It's possible.
Right. It's no longer a barrier for me wanting to continue my education. And it's a topic that I care about and that means a lot. So it makes it that look much easier. Not easy, but easier.
That's good. I mean, it sounds like there's a real good balance of what we refer to often as challenge and support. You get a chance to challenge, to try new behaviors and new experiences, especially within that group, but also to gain a new sense of confidence and maybe some new options for the future. So that's great. That's great. All right. So I actually have some questions for you now, Molly. And so if you would consider this. You work with a lot of students both in and out of the classroom, and some of the students are involved in your work on Team TIP. And so can you talk a little bit about the project and how students are getting involved?
Sure. So basically Team TIP is a group of St. Louisans that's looking to bring transparency and a racial equity lens to development incentives. So basically what this means is the role of government in supporting economic development. It could be businesses, corporate or other types of businesses, or it could be housing development. So government plays a role in providing incentives. So tax breaks. If you come in and develop in this neighborhood, we'll give you a 10-year tax abatement where you don't have to pay any additional property taxes, things like this. And so these are tools that we desperately need to incentivize to bring economic activity to a place like St. Louis. So St. Louis has been sort of experiencing hard times, I'll say, for some decades now. We've lost a good percentage of our population, and we're really trying to figure out how to build our economy here in a way that affects everybody in St. Louis. So it's not just about downtown development or about a certain part of the city. It's really, the question for us is how do you do that in a way that is equitable? And so we have a group that's working to first of all just translate what is TIF. TIF stands for tax increment financing. I won't get into it all here, but so we're trying to kind of help ordinary people in the St. Louis area understand what these things are. How they come into play for different types of developments, big stadium deal, everything from a little housing rehab to a giant stadium, and to put a racial equity lens on those sorts of programs. So to make sure that we aren't, like the status quo is that we're using them all in what we call the central corridor. So that's basically St. Louis is shaped like a kind of like a seed, and we have the arch on one end, and we have Forest Park and our campus here on the other sort of end, and then all in the middle there's a lot of strength. So that we have the hospitals and St. Louis University and other major anchor institutions, and a lot of these incentives have really been targeted at that one part of the city. But then if you go a few miles north or a few miles south, it's a very, very different situation in terms of economic opportunities. So that's what we're working on. And in terms of how students are involved, basically anything that comes to policy or politics, I try to give my students exposure to how these things work. Government hearings that are technically called public hearings, but the public doesn't always show up because they don't understand what's actually being deliberated that day. I try to help make that clear for students and give them an opportunity to attend. And if they want to simply attend and just watch and see what is our government doing today, that is fine. And they have papers, in some of my classes, they'll kind of analyze the power dynamics and just the economic development questions around what our elected officials are debating. But if they want to go sort of the next step and weigh in, and I've had students who have testified in front of aldermanic committees, or go to social media, tweet about it, stuff like that. There are opportunities for students to engage in that way. So yeah, it's been exciting to see, people decide, what works best for them. Some students, they love protests and they love to get in the streets. And I've been, in protests over the last several years with students. Other students are like, I just don't do crowds. I would rather be the one doing the research paper that kind of develops the policy idea that then, we kind of work inside the system and try to make change from inside. But I respect the fact that other people are putting the pressure on from the outside, and we need it all. So, yeah.
That's great. I think that's an incredible experience that you're sharing with students, that they're actually getting out there and having real immersive, real world experiences where they can have an impact. They don't have to wait till they get their degree, but they can actually have an impact on our community now, which is a great experience. Yeah. So we do have one more question for you at this section. In terms of faculty mentorships, how do you see the Brown School being unique in this regard?
Yeah, so one great, in terms of the research side of things, we have the Master's Research Fellowship. It is a great opportunity. So in addition to Alana, I work with another student who's a Master's Research Fellow. And so that's supporting her tuition and allows her the time to work with me as a research assistant. So that's a great opportunity for prospective students. Definitely check it out. A lot of different faculty have Master's Research Fellow positions open, but you have to apply. So that's one opportunity. You have faculty advisors. So just taking the time, our faculty, I think, are generally really accessible. So just having a coffee, sitting down and just spitballing whatever it is, whether it's career questions, whether it's like you're a first semester student, what classes should I take? Just asking for the time. So yeah, there's advising, and then a really good way to get to know a professor is taking a class. And then you have, the content. So it's not, all just like, what should I do when I graduate? It's like, it's kind of anchored to the content of that course. And that's a really good way to build relationships. But yeah, I think we try to, we're all busy, but we try to be accessible. And certainly, prospective students are welcome to email me, is the best way to get in touch. And I'm happy to, schedule a phone call and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we try to be accessible.
That's great. So actually what you just shared about taking the class, I had a student visiting, or a prospective student visiting us regarding the public health program. And I actually brought in a current student of ours into that conversation. And the question he had was, which faculty members are you taking classes with? Because there was a question about, like, what's that level of interaction with all these great faculty we see online and on your websites and their research? Like, what does it really look like? And she dropped off, and she's a first year student. I think I lost count. I think it was like 8 or 9 names of faculty members who are doing cutting edge research and work, and they're well recognized. And she's taking courses with them. And I love the way she captured it, that not only do you see them in the classroom, but you see them in the hallways. And in your case, you get to do research, travel together, and do really good work together. So I love hearing the idea that there are plenty of options to get connected to faculty and build potential mentorships. So that's fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So for both of you, you're graduating in the spring, and so that's a great thing. Never ask a senior in college and never ask a grad student about what their plans are. But let's talk about the here and now, because that's what's important. Are there any projects that you'll have on deck for the next few months?
Yes, so continuing our work in equitable housing. So we're in the beginning stages of doing a project wanting to assess landlords and engage them in the housing choice voucher program. So we're in the very beginning stages of that, but it's proven to be long term. But yeah,
it's great.
Lots of work.
Yeah. Finishing strong too, which is great.
Yes.
Well, thank you both. We're going to take a little pause right here to pass on some information to our viewers about some next steps in talking to faculty. If you want to talk to faculty at the Brown School, we have a couple things here we'll pull up on the slide for you. So you'll want to check out a couple of our websites for our msw.wilston.edu/visit or mph.wilston.edu/visit. You can schedule a personalized visit. This is something that if you're able to do this, folks really do appreciate the opportunity to speak with current students, speak with our admissions staff, do a tour of the Brown School, grab lunch, with our current staff, as well as meet with faculty. So that's a great opportunity you can take advantage of. And you can do it at any time. They're personalized. Depending on the time of the year, too, you can actually sit in on one of those classes that Molly referred to. So there are a lot of great opportunities for you to personalize. There's not just one standard visit. And you can do a full day visit, you can do a half day visit. There's a lot of opportunities. So please visit those websites. The other opportunity that we have coming up for admitted students, of course, is Admitted Student Weekend. That happens April 7th and 8th this year. Our registration will be opening soon online. You'll get more information and communication for admitted students about this. It's a great event, great opportunity to interact with faculty members, start doing some of your networking there, to meet current students as well as potential cohort members that you have the chance to potentially attend a class with here at the Brown School. I've seen so many students at that experience connect with faculty members, and some of them, it resulted in actual research opportunities and other relationships with faculty members that are very positive. So we really encourage those of you who have an opportunity to take advantage of that time on campus. So we welcome you. We're going to return back to some more questions, and so we'll bring Bridget on in as well. Why don't you come on over so we can get everybody shifted in here. So we have Bridget here, and Bridget, if you wouldn't mind just sharing with us kind of your name, of course, your role here at the Brown School and areas of study, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So hi, I'm Bridget Welsh. I'm a first year MSW student, and I am doing the concentration on mental health. So I'm really interested in working with clients in a direct practice counseling type of setting. And I'm also doing the specialization on sexual health and education. So if possible, I would love to work with college students in a counseling center, potentially working with sexual assault survivors, working with students on both any traumatic sexual relationships that they've had, or also positive sexual relationships, talking with students about healthy communication, consent, things like that. So those are some of the things I'm passionate about and why I chose to come to the Brown School.
It's great. I do appreciate hearing everybody's stories, and especially those of you who are applying to our programs. We get a chance to read their applications and hear what they're passionate about, and it's really powerful things that they're interested in. And the idea behind it is being able to be a contribution and being able to contribute in ways that you find effective, whether it's the research or policy work or advocacy work on the ground or direct practice. So that's exciting. So I do have a question for everybody, so I'll open this up to everybody. How would you recommend that students reach out to faculty whose research interests them?
Should I go or you want to go?
For me, I reached out to Professor Sharita Butler Barnes, who, although her interest area isn't the same as mine, she was the first one to actually engage back with me when I was still a prospective student. And I really appreciated that, because although I wasn't here, she took a strong interest in wanting to know about what did I like. And I knew I really wanted to come here, so I wanted to gauge how the climate was in the classroom, how the climate was in the campus, what to expect, what is her classroom like. So she is currently my advisor. And so now I even had, when I was a first year or second year, gave me a suggestion to make what I call it an advisory board. So I built a team of faculty members who, whether I've taken their classes or just sat down and met with them and let them know what I'm interested in, so I can bounce back ideas off of and gain suggestions. So I have a few who I've spoken to about, my interest in the PhD program, who have given me leads to jobs. Currently, my relationship, he's no longer here, but he was the director of urban education in field ed, and I'm a graduate fellow for WashU College Prep, and he was the one who referred me to that position. So this is my second year in. So just building those relationships and being transparent and authentic, and I can tell that they genuinely care about what I'm here for and what I want to do when I leave. So I would personally suggest building a team of people to help you throughout your process in the Brown School.
It's very great advice. Could you share with us kind of what your recommendations for reaching out to faculty would be?
Sure. So I think the school makes it really easy on you. So even if you are like more introverted person or you're intimidated by connecting with faculty, there are a lot of formal structures for you to be able to have opportunities to connect with people who might be in your interest area, or just like have a faculty mentor. Like during orientation, I know we were connected with a lot of faculty for like individual sort of like group sessions rather than like everyone together. Even in like your classes, that first semester, you're getting to know people pretty well. Like they're going to share about their work, personal, professional experiences, interactions with social work. And I would encourage any new student to just like go up and talk to that person. If it's someone that you feel like is talking about an area of interest for you academically or professionally, or you just feel like you have like a personal connection with a faculty member, talk to them after class, step up, reach out, email them, go to their office hours. Like they put their office hours on their syllabus, not just for fun. Like they really want you to visit them. Sometimes they're bored, they want a distraction. So yeah, I think like utilizing those like formal things, as well as you'll have like people who help you sign up for classes, like an academic advisor, but you're also going to have a designated like faculty advisor. So my person is Matt Collins, and he works in the mental health concentration. He's like my designated person. I can go talk to him about like what I'm thinking for career path, sort of like this is why I came in, but I'm not sure exactly where I want to end. So like I know that he's like my person. I am more extroverted. I'm comfortable talking with faculty. I just like was that person that would like go up and talk to people after class, and got connected with a couple of faculty members pretty early on. So Matt is like a tenured full-time faculty member with the mental health concentration. But I also really love some of our adjunct faculty who are not here as much. They're people who are like working in the field of social work, running a nonprofit, like on the ground level, doing this work. Maybe they're teaching one class once a semester, are really wonderful people. So like I really connected with Dwight Campbell last semester. He taught the human diversity class, and he runs or works with an organization, NCCJ, that does like diversity education in the city. I really connected with Jessica Weiland. She is one of our assistant dean of students at WashU for the undergrad campus, and she is an MSW and has her doctorate in social work. So she's done both like the social work and higher ed piece, which are two things I'm interested in. So I was like, yes, that person, I want to know her. And she just teaches like the one class once a semester, once a year, like is not around the Brown School that much, but she's like my person. So I was actually just meeting with her before this meeting. That's why I was a little late. But she kind of has like the inverse of what I did. So she used to work as a clinical counselor and now is working in student affairs. I used to work in student affairs and want to go into clinical counseling. So I feel like I can learn a lot from her. She's just an easy person to talk with. She's done some of the like sexual assault survivor support that I want to do. And she's made it really easy. And I will like echo what you said about connecting with internships or, volunteer or jobs. Like we sat down in an hour, she probably gave me like 8 people or offices or jobs that I could connect with. And I wasn't even asking for that. She was just like, do you want to connect with this person? Oh, it's too bad you're not graduating yet. There's this job. So like, yeah, I feel like it's very easy, whether or not like you are more anxious or comfortable with that.
Thank you. So Molly, similar to you, from a faculty perspective, generally speaking, how would you recommend that students contact you, whether it's in the first year or second year, or with you or your colleagues?
Yeah, so the best way to reach me is by email. You can find my email address or any of my colleagues' email addresses online. We expect to hear from you. So in terms of that intimidation piece that you were talking about, we're nice people. Talking with prospective students is part of our job, and so don't feel intimidated. You are welcome to reach out to us directly through email. Is I think the best way for me anyway. Also, some prospective students come in and they really know what they want to do. Others are like, I kind of have this general interest in a particular area, but maybe they're not quite as sure yet. So I think, going through the admissions office, maybe, you could also help to be that liaison between the prospective student and the faculty member to help kind of point them in some directions if they're not quite sure. who to start with.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Please.
Also, don't be afraid to engage with the staff members too, so including the staff with the faculty. So I engaged with Atia Thurman, who's the manager of Brown School Initiatives, and Cynthia Williams, who's the assistant dean for community partnerships. And they've helped me a lot. I'm also the co-chair of our Black Student Union, and so when we put on events, they sit down and help us with that while we're also in school. So filling out your entire collegiate experience outside of the classroom. And they both attended the Brown School prior to their position, so that helped out a lot. And because of them, I have a relationship with the dean also, which is, for me, is very fruitful. So just be very open to including faculty and staff in your advisory board.
I agree with that. I think there's definitely people who are working here in a non-faculty role who probably have a social work background or something like it. People that can also connect you with opportunities, or just wonderful, beautiful, helping people that want to make sure you're okay while you're here and you're going to have the best experience while you're here. I love Nicole from Career Services. I've connected with her. Jewel from Field Ed. Even through admissions, when I was a prospective student or starting off, I felt like before I really knew anyone, it was hey, if you're interested in sexual health, talk with Susan Stieritz. She's a great person, and had an opportunity to sit down and talk with her, hear a little bit about her career and her research. So, yeah. Yes,
That's great. But we as staff just appreciate that, the value there. I also want to throw out there, there's faculty members in public health. I like Joe Steensma, who invites students to his home for Thanksgiving. Students in his class, I should say all students. Sorry, Joe. And so that's there are a lot of faculty members across the board in both programs who want to engage with you from an academic perspective, and from what I'm understanding, also on a personal level as well. So there's some great opportunities. I have one more general question, and then I think we're going to open it up to a couple of questions from some folks who sent them in live. So if anybody, feel free to answer this one. When it comes to faculty mentorship, what does it allow both in terms of classroom work, field opportunities, / career development? I know we covered some of that, but if you have a well, you want to put on that? Just would like to open it up to the floor.
I think one thing that I want to say that's a little bit related to that is more conceptual, is that one of my faculty members the first day of class was you are now a social work professional, and you are a colleague of mine, and you can learn from me and I can learn from you, and really raise that bar for what our relationship was with each other. And I respected that a lot, because I felt there was not just tangible opportunities to get involved, but also that this is a profession, we are professionals together, we are colleagues. I respect that you are here, and I know you respect that I'm here as an authority or a specialist in this field. And I feel that's how I've been treated by faculty, is that mutual relationship. So that was one quick thing I wanted to say, but yes, there are other specifics to your question for sure.
I appreciate that. That's great. Any other thoughts at all? I know we.
I would just go back to when I mentioned the intimidation key. So if it wasn't for her actually pushing me to present at the conference, I probably wouldn't have taken it upon myself to do it. And that speaks to the faculty and staff seeing a lot in you that you probably didn't see yourself, and that sets you up not just for whatever that intended task is, but for the future. So I'm actually presenting at the Graduate Research Symposium next Tuesday. So I'm I put my foot in the water. I'm just going to keep it going to continue to grow comfortable with the idea of presenting on research. So it helped out a lot.
I have one more quick thing. So echoing something you said in the very beginning, which is that students are wanting to do impactful work now. They're not here to just simply to talk and think about, of course, we need to do our research, making sure what we're doing is evidence-based and is effective, and that, we need to ground ourselves and make sure that what we're doing is we're going about it the right way. But we also don't want to wait till we graduate to make a difference, regardless of what area we're working in. So, in our issue, housing in St. Louis, I mean, we are still one of the most segregated cities in the entire country. There's a huge need for affordable housing. There's a huge homelessness problem that we're not addressing adequately. So like these are problems that we need to be addressing right now. And so, you know, when I think about mentoring, first of all, it's a two-way street. So I learn a lot from my students, but it's also about, networking, not just to get jobs. That's one part of it, but to make sure that your work is in front of people who like need it, like right now. So that could be elected officials, that could be practitioners, you know, but that you're doing work that's connected. So that to me is a big part of mentoring.
Team TIF has gotten the attention of a lot of the mayoral candidates for the infamous mayoral race that we have going in St. Louis City now. So the work that began in the program is catching the eye of what's going on outside of these walls. It's awesome. Yeah.
I think, yeah, like there's some things built in within like your regular assignments that are really unique. Like I know for my policy class that I had last semester, we actually like wrote policy briefs and we actually wrote letters to the editor. So like, it wasn't just like, oh, you're learning, this is an activity, but it was like what you were talking about. It was that I am going to address a real issue right now. Like I see this, you know, piece of sexual violence response that's not working. So I'm gonna write my local newspaper and tell them like such and such policy or law, it has this missing thing. I am a citizen of St. Louis, like I'm gonna use my voice and this present issue, not wait till I graduate. This is not like about me getting the job. This is about, I'm an active citizen and I wanna be involved in a thing that I see right now. And a student and a scholar and whatever, you know. So I feel like we're really encouraged to think that way, to really ground what we're learning in the day to day, not just like be, you know, spitballing in the classroom, theoretically talking about issues, but like who's going to the march this weekend? And like, you know, now we're going to process that march, or like who's writing a thing, who's going to lobby day,
who needs a ride to DC.
Yes, you know, so like I think there are definitely opportunities all the time. And I think sometimes like maybe before this experience, I would think of being in graduate school or like doing research as something that felt like maybe like long term, not applicable to the day to day, and just being like, oh, that contributes to like a field of education, not really about research or policy work being like a very current, tangible thing. I think that's cool to see that happen. The things we talk about come to life all the time.
Absolutely. And we often talk about the areas of policy, practice, and research, and we'll say that over and over again when it comes to talking to prospective students about our program, and I think you all have captured those areas really well. I think we do have a couple of questions that our wonderful assistant, more than that, but thank you. And so it looks like the question is, I imagine faculty are contacted by a number of students. Do you have any suggestions on how to stand out? Interesting question. Maybe you have some tips that you either did yourself or you've heard from some of your peers, and we'd love to hear if you have any interesting ones. Only good ones, please.
So this is like a totally new thing to me today, but I feel like the spirit of it is lived in the Brown School. But when I was talking with Jessica, so she works in the Dean of Students office, she was talking about how the faculty and staff have a motto of knowing the student and knowing their story, so not just being another number. So I feel like that question, like almost, I appreciate it, but like it almost doesn't apply. Like I've never felt like I have to work to stand out. Like I think any student that I've seen like stop and talk to a faculty member, I feel like the faculty members are giving them that time of day and like being with them in the present moment and working to get to know them. Like if they have to run to a meeting or something, they're like, yes, I want to connect with you. Let's schedule a meeting. So like, I don't know, like, and that's my like honest answer. I'm not just trying to like make people feel good about a thing, but like, I feel like the students are very seen and heard by faculty and staff.
I'm glad to hear that. That's how I try to be. You know, if I get an email from admissions saying, oh, there's a student who wants to meet with you, I'm not like, well, who is this student? Do they stand out? It's like, okay, like I'm free on Tuesday or on Thursday,
Yeah.
So you don't need to stand out. But I think, if they're reaching out to me directly, in terms of getting a real, like a substantive conversation started, it does help if if I know why they're reaching out to me. So maybe it's just that they're interested in social and economic development in general, or maybe it's that they have read, something I wrote or something, like they're like really interested in the Housing Choice Voucher Program or in this, TIF work or something like that. So if there are specific interests, you could just let me know where you're coming from. But if you don't know yet, and we have students who are career switchers who are coming from all different backgrounds. So maybe you don't have any background in social and economic development. You just want to feel it out. That's fine.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we get plenty of students who are coming straight from undergraduate. We have plenty of students who have had a life or a career, both. And both. And so because they're coming from so many different places, they're looking to explore. And so you don't have to have all the answers when contacting the faculty member. I think I'm showing up authentic and curious. I think it sounds like a pretty good entry point. Do you want to share anything before we move on to the next question?
I'm the type of person to like pop up. So I send emails, and if there's ever an instance where I understand that faculty and staff are humans, right? So as a student, we filter through emails and we may forget, and it's not intentional. It's just other things were going on at that time. So if I send an email and I don't get a response, I'll like knock on the door and say, hey, are you busy? I just wanted to know, my name is such and such. I sent you an email about this. And they'll say, oh, could you send me another one? So now that they've matched my face with my name to the subject of the email, they'll have a conversation. But I'm not afraid to have that face-to-face conversation.
Absolutely. So I think what I'm hearing is there's a lot of different approaches, and I think that's what works for you. So it's right. So I think that's great. I mean, I'd probably circle back towards your style a little bit more as well. Do we have another question that's on here as well? Oh, that was. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm sorry, we had some technical difficulties working on it. All right. Please describe how faculty mentors students in regard to career paths beyond the MSW, and how it helps if a student focus changes while at the Brown School. I'm sure that happens from time to time.
I feel like it happens more often than it doesn't. I think it's kind of unusual that a student comes in and says, I know I want to do this, and they just go pile through and do it. So I think career paths beyond the MSW. So, mentioned Nicole, we have a career services department that is awesome. And so as the chair for domestic SED, I work really closely with them. I'm constantly, if I hear about jobs, so first of all, we have an SED Facebook page, so I'll post it on there, and I'll also give it to Nicole just to make sure that information gets out. Again, unique to the SED program, we have a really great relationship with an organization called NeighborWorks. We have a training series that they provide, and they are a national network. So, we have obviously a really strong network here in St. Louis, but we also are part of national networks. So if you are from Denver or from Anchorage or from, wherever, you can go back to, if you want to go back to the city you're from and work, you can say, okay, well, who are the NeighborWorks affiliates in this city? And you kind of have this automatic connection if you've participated in that training program. So we're always, basically what we're trying to do is to think about where students are going to end up and kind of backwards map and, try to figure out, okay, what do they need both in terms of the knowledge, but also in terms of those relationships and the networks. So
Absolutely.
It's about faculty, but career services plays a huge role.
Absolutely. It reminds me of orientation this year when we kind of started off one of the first sessions with beginning with the end in mind. We know that a lot of people had a general idea of what they wanted to do, and so we talked about all the resources, the skills, the experiences that you're going to gain from the Brown School and how we can build that so that you can end up closer to where you want to be by the time you graduate, which is fantastic. I guess we're getting really ready to wrap it up. Are there any other closing thoughts at all that anybody would like to share? Speaking of putting people on the spot.
A statement that is always spoken to me coming up is, you have not because you ask not. So do not be afraid to ask. The worst that somebody can tell you is no. I've received more yeses. I even approached the question assuming I would get a no and end up getting a yes. So I just learned to feel comfortable with, if they have the resources, don't be afraid to ask. And you'll be surprised at how many yeses you receive in the end.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Yeah, like advocating for yourself, like making sure that you get what you need out of the experience. You might not think it, but 2 years goes fast, so like maximizing that time while you're here. I know I met with Nicole from Career Services before classes started. And I was like, this is where I want to end up. I want to work at a college in a counseling center. And we sat down and like broke down some classes, broke down practicum options, and wound up like identifying some skill areas that I wanted to develop. And one of those was learning about law. And that's how I decided to do my first practicum, which is at a legal office. Which I never would have like thought coming in. I want to do like direct practice counseling, but for me, I like don't know anything about like if I'm going to tell a client to go talk to a police officer or she's going to press charges and go to court, like maybe I need to know about that, and like this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it'll actually look like when you go to court. So it was really helpful to talk with her and think of that like that end, so. Anyway, yeah, all of that to say, advocate for yourself, get connected to people, try not to be intimidated to talk to people. They really do care about you and will see you as a human, and they're just a human. So work to do that the best you can.
And yeah, I agree with all of that. Does not hurt to ask. And I guess the only other thing I would add, we hadn't talked about advanced standing students, but for students who have a bachelor's in social work, and so the program moves by even faster, I think starting those conversations early is really, really important. Because I think, students get here for orientation. It is like you're bombarded with information. You have to make all these decisions really quickly. It can be a little overwhelming. You're not sure, am I taking the right classes? So if you have a feeling that you're going to be matriculating, start those conversations now and start thinking about it so it doesn't feel so rushed when you hit orientation.
That's a great piece of advice. We're going to thank you all, first of all, for participating. I think what you shared is substantial, and I think that the audience paying attention and those who get a chance to watch the playback will get a lot from it. So again, just want to share our deep gratitude. A couple of things that came up for me in our conversation. The conversation around name and story, I think, is an important piece, and the university is going with some language around school being a place where people matter and serious work is done. And I think all of your stories really illustrated that your ability to connect with people, enough for us to connect and collaborate with the community is just as important. And there's some serious work that needs to happen in order to find some success. And I think you all have really embodied that in the stories that you share. And then the last thing I'll kind of say before we wrap up with some information to wrap up this afternoon is you mentioned this idea of board of directors. And I know that we have all types of students who are coming from very different places and personality types who are going to join our community in the coming year. Not everybody's going to be as comfortable as going out and making connections, but just know that we, in admissions and recruitment, we don't give away spots. You all have earned your spots to be here at the Brown School. And I always want to push that critical point with people who come here. So because you're here, you do matter, and people do want to engage with you. So it's really not talking. We do hope that you take advantage of everything that was shared. Build out that board of directors. That's a group that you'll probably take with you potentially for a lifetime. So we definitely want you to continue with that. Again, thank you. We're going to post up some information about some upcoming dates, and we'll wrap up. Thank you for tuning in.